Growing up, I had three significant people in my life: my mom, and my dad, and my Janny. And you all know the characteristics needed for a good mom and a good dad, but I know most everyone didn't get a Janny. So allow me to shoulder the burden and illuminate the traits needed to make a good Janny. Her weapon of choice must be kindness. It was hard to make her mad, and when you did it, it was after a very long time of her being patient with you. She could take every horrible, outlandish remark and still manage to hug you afterwards. She understood that in life, the best medicine is a little bit of love. She needs to know how to make you feel better. In September of last year, I came home to an unsatisfactory SAT score. Needless to say, I was crushed and embarrassed too. Too embarrassed to explain to anyone but my mom why I was really upset. Nevertheless, Janny came into my room, sat on my bed, and offered to buy me a pizza. The epitome of a health nut offered to buy me 1,000-calorie, fattening, disgusting pizza. Nevertheless, she just wanted to make me feel better. She didn't know why I was crying alone in my room on a Friday night. She just knew that would help, and that was all that mattered to her. For one night, she lifted our typical fortified nutrition gate to little comfort food come in. She needs to be ready to chauffeur, babysit, house clean, whatever it was at a moment's notice. My siblings and I never had a babysitter growing up because she would already be at our house ready to take on the job before my parents even asked. She must stay positive. It was Janny that taught me the common expression, glass half full. Her persistence to find the good in everything was so strong, it was almost annoying sometimes. I remember one of the things that aggravated me most was when I just wanted to complain about my day and she immediately would start giving me solutions, and that was the last thing I wanted. What I didn't know was that it was exactly what I needed. She has to be able to celebrate everyone's differences, no matter how unusual. My sister's love for video games and animation is unmatched by our whole family, but regardless of the fact that Janny had no interest in those things, she would still keep an eye out for those things to show and tell Brooke about. Giving up should never be an option for her. From the cancer diagnosis to her final days, despite her fears, she was determined on staying on this earth. She believed in the impossible, and even though she succumbed, she gave cancer one hell of a fight. She needs to be more enthusiastic about your games and performances than your parents are. I don't think I knew anyone who loved our marching show this year more than my aunt. She fervently told us we were robbed after we got fourth at a competition. At our last competition, when we got first place, I swear I could hear her screams above everyone else's. She's got to be a good driving teacher. She was quite literally the only person that would not freak out when I put my foot on the accelerator. My parents will claim that they were really patient with me, but it was my aunt, I promise. She put trust into me when no one else would. She'll probably suggest meditation to you, and you'll feel ridiculous at first, but just be patient with her. She has to know how to make a mean lunch: peanut butter jelly sandwiches cut into fourths, frozen grapes, a Capri Sun, and always, always, always a sweet treat. Your Janny ultimately must be a mother through and through. When I first saw her as a mother with an infant Caroline, my sister and I didn't recognize her. I remember we interrogated her with questions like, "Are you the real Janny?" as if she was an imposter. She looked prettier, and she smelled nicer, and she seemed happier, which apparently seems odd to us, but my sister and I just thought she was using a new deodorant, but looking back, it was, I noticed, even at 5 years old, she had a new glow to her. She never looked more beautiful than whenever Caroline was nearby. And finally, one of the most important gifts she's given to me: she needs to remind you you're beautiful even when you don't believe it. At 8 years old, I was often made fun of because of my big, wild, curly hair. One day, I was particularly distraught, tearfully crying. I wanted to cut it all off. So Janny came in, pulled me into her lap, and handed me a front cover of Esquire that she cut out. Halle Berry, who had just famously went to the Oscars proudly wearing her ethnic hair, was gracing the front cover. As I was wiping my tears, she looked at me in the eyes and told me, "Whenever you feel sad or frustrated with your hair, I want you to look at this magazine cover and tell yourself that you are beautiful, that your hair is beautiful." For years, the cover sat in my drawer, and just as she ordered me, I would pull it out whenever I needed to remind myself that I am beautiful. As you know, there are a lot of traits to make up a good Janny. And because of this, I am sorry to say, but I don't think you'll ever be able to get a Janny quite as wonderful as mine. Before I step off, I would like to thank and promise her a few things. My dearest Janny, thank you for the immeasurable strength you showed in this last year. The cancer was strong, but your spirit never broke, even to your last breath. Thank you for everything you've done and everything that you are. The lessons you've taught me and the gifts you've given me will stay with me forever. I promise to always care for your family as you have done with me. I promise I will keep the strength of the twin relationship alive and will strive to treat my sister well as you've done with yours. I promise to be cautious when driving up to the stoplight on Sunrise and Cold. Even from her hospital bed, she was telling me to be careful. And of course, I promise to always work towards unconditionally loving myself and the people around me just as you have. I miss you incredibly, but I hope wherever you are, you have found peace. Thank you.